Man, Auburn goes into the Ole Miss game 3-3, and really trying to figure some things out. Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast talking Auburn football. Go ahead and subscribe to Vernon Speak Sports Auburn. Down in the Deep South, college football is king, and on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is War Eagle. In this football game, Auburn takes on Ole Miss at home at under the lights, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And Auburn had a little bit of success the last time they took on Ole Miss back in 2021 when Brian Harsin was head coach, a double-digit win over Ole Miss. And we just want to talk about the 6 players that we think on this channel had a lot of help from some guys, and we talked about some stuff, and who we think are the top 6 players that need to have an impact on this game. Auburn did some diligence between Brian Harsin and Hugh Freeze in the transfer portal. Also with recruiting, Auburn was able to hang on to Jeremiah Cobb. And we're going to talk about how all these guys that we're talking about can make an impact. Number one, I think Jeremiah Cobb is a guy that has to have the football in his hands. Had the best showing among all the Auburn running backs with 10 carries at 69 yards to help Auburn in that LSU game supplement the loss of Amari Alston. Auburn will need him to get more touches, and his speed can help if Auburn takes the run-pass option route against Ole Miss. He has faithfully shown the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and to stretch the RPO and challenge the edge of the defense. That's something that I think Auburn has to do. They got to challenge the edge of the defense, because right up the middle at the beginning of the football game is really not a strength for Auburn. They're going to have to loosen these guys up. And with the right play call and the right situation for Jeremiah Cobb, I think he can make some big plays, and I think he wants to make big plays. Even as a true freshman, he has come in with the ability to allow these coaches some play calling options, to help be successful. Auburn should come out and attempt to throw the ball successfully against Ole Miss, loosen the defense up to create a balanced attack that Hugh Freeze and his offense is a little bit more comfortable with as far as game planning. One thing Auburn has to do, obviously, is be ahead of down and distance. I think Hugh Freeze kind of shies away from the run-pass option to help his defense out, because if you go RPO, you go tempo, you go 3 and out. I mean, you can literally see this. The defense goes onto the side of the field, and as soon as they can get a drink of water or sit down, they're right back on the field. So I think he's really trying to figure out a balance between his offense, which he knows personnel-wise what he has, versus his defense, which is capable. But in this type of game against Ole Miss, you don't want to tire them out. And especially as you get in the down and distance, play calling becomes a little bit more predictable, and you put a lot of pressure on your defense. One of the things that's hurt Auburn has been pre-snap penalties, and even worse, turnovers that have stalled drives. And another guy that I think we got to look at who has not been utilized, we got to look at the power, and we got to look at the intermediate speed of Shawn Jackson, who also has to play more of a role in the run game. He has an interesting combination of size and intermediate speed that can challenge the front of the Ole Miss offense, as he can get you those 3 to 4 yards on first down, which Auburn needs. And I think they need to utilize him a little bit more. But he can also, given the right blocking combo, can get you about 15 to 20 yards down the field. And then now, all of a sudden, Shawn Jackson is a guy that you have to account for. I don't think his services has been utilized as well as it could be. He adds a more physical dimension to the running Auburn attack, especially with Damari Alston being out. Now, the second guy is DJ James, transfer from Oregon, has had massive impact on the Auburn secondary. Redshirt senior, 6'1", 174 pounds, from Mobile, Alabama. Originally committed to Oregon, but transferred to Auburn. Since he's been at Auburn, you talk about 37 tackles and 1 interception with 8 pass breakups, placing the talented corner on the second team of the All-SEC list. Has battled some injuries but appears to be healthy. But now after that arm injury, he has helped Auburn continue their positive trend on creating turnovers in every game. I think Auburn has probably, if you look at the list, probably one of the best teams in the country at creating turnovers on games. Had a key interception in the LSU game. Had a key interception in the game out west at California. And you're definitely going to have him as a factor in this game. Next up is Marcus Harris, also from Alabama, which talks about the lack of recruiting effort from Brian Harsin, maybe, right out of Montgomery, went to Kansas, transferred to Auburn, has been a mainstay in that middle portion of the football field. I think he's undersized. I think he should probably be playing on the edge or playing that, that jack. But he continues to hold his own in the middle of that offense and has to continue if Auburn is going to be successful. 22 tackles in the 2022 season, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. Has to continue to be a force to give Auburn the edge on defense that will be needed in this home game against Ole Miss. Now, there have been quarterback controversy when we talk about Robby Ashford, Peyton Thorne, Holden Gurnier has not had a lot of action. Robby Ashford took over the quarterback position after the TJ Finley injury, threw for 1,613 yards and completed 49% of his passes. 7 touchdowns, but 7 interceptions. The question is, does Robby Ashford possess the overall skill set to be a Power 5 quarterback? In my opinion, has an incredible upside. But prior and current coaching staff seems to be very doubtful as to whether they want to put him as the starting guy for this job. He does a great work of keeping defenses off balance in an open field situation because once he gets the ball and gets it in open field, he makes some things happen. You could even compare him. Well, you know what? I'm not going to do the comparison. I just, sometimes you guys get real bent out of shape with the comparison. But the run pass option can be really threatening for him if he can be able to throw the ball down the field, which he was able to somewhat successfully do against LSU. I think Ashford has the desire, obviously, to be successful behind the scenes. I don't know if he's showing the coaches enough to garnish the trust of him being the main guy for Auburn. And last but not least, a guy that I think that really needs to come on is Shane Hooks. Transfer from Jackson State, known for his one-handed catches. Created a huge buzz with his one-handed catch in the offseason for Auburn. But just has not been a consistent factor for Auburn in Power 5 play. He did pretty good against Sanford and UMass. But if the Auburn passing game is going to be successful, they got to find the ways to get this guy involved in the intermediate passing game to open some things up. And a lot of, when I look at video on Auburn, wide receivers are open. Either, there's not a lot of trust between Peyton Thorne and Robby Ashford when he's in the game to get these guys the football. But it's just a situation to where Shane Hooks, I'm pretty sure from a personal standpoint, does not want to waste his transfer with an opportunity to possibly play in the NFL and not get the touches that he needs. Auburn needs to take advantage of these guys in the transfer portal and figuring out ways to get these guys the football. Auburn has an interesting stretch to where they are fighting now for bowl eligibility. Ole Miss is a game that I think you need to figure out a way to win. Arkansas is coming down as well, and as well as Ole Miss. And then you got New Mexico State and Alabama to get Auburn into bowl eligibility in Coach Hugh Freeze's first year. Now, let me know what you think. Let me know who your key players are. Like this video, comment, and subscribe. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger. War Damn Eagle.